Tyler Henry became famous in a way that very few people ever do. He did not become known for acting, singing, or sports. Instead, he became known for something far more unusual. He claimed that he could communicate with the dead and share messages from people who had passed away. This ability made him stand out, and it quickly brought him attention from people all over the world. What made his story even more interesting was how young he was when everything started. He was not a grown adult when he became famous. He was still very young, and that made people even more curious about him. Over time, Tyler built a career around this ability. He appeared on television, wrote books, and met many famous people. His show introduced him to millions of viewers, and many of them believed in what he was doing. They saw him as someone who could bring comfort to people who were grieving. For them, Tyler was not just a performer. He was someone who could give them hope. But at the same time, there were also people who did not believe him. They questioned his ability and thought that he was just very good at reading people. This mix of belief and doubt followed him throughout his career. Still, no one could deny that he had built something very big. He created a life where people trusted him with their deepest emotions and personal stories. He became someone that people waited months or even years to meet. His success did not happen overnight, but once it started, it grew very quickly. Tyler Henry went from being a young man in a small town to becoming one of the most talked about mediums in the world. His journey showed how powerful belief can be, both for the person who has it and for the people who want to believe in something bigger than themselves. Before he became famous, Tyler Henry lived a very normal life. He was born in a small town, and his childhood was not very different from other kids around him. He went to school, spent time with his family, and lived a quiet life. Nothing about his early years suggested that he would one day become a well-known public figure. However, everything changed when he was just a child. At the age of 10, Tyler had an experience that he could not explain. He woke up one day with a strong feeling that something was wrong with his grandmother. He felt that she was about to pass away, even though he had no clear reason to think that. This feeling was not just a simple thought. It was strong and emotional, and it stayed with him. When he shared this feeling with his family, they soon received news that his grandmother had died. This moment had a deep impact on him. It was the first time he felt that he knew something that he should not have known. For a child, this kind of experience can be very confusing and even scary. Tyler did not fully understand what was happening, but he could not ignore it either. As time went on, he started to notice more moments like this. He began to feel that he had a special ability, even though he did not fully understand it. When he told others about it, the reactions were not always kind. Some people were curious, but many were afraid. In his small community, this kind of claim was not easy for people to accept. He faced criticism and even bullying. Instead of being supported, he was often treated as someone different. This made his early years more difficult, but also shaped who he became later. He learned to deal with doubt and judgment from a very young age, and that experience stayed with him as he grew older. As Tyler Henry grew older, he began to take his ability more seriously. He did not just keep it as a private experience. Instead, he started sharing it with more people. At first, this was something small. He gave readings to people he knew, and word slowly began to spread. People started talking about him and sharing their experiences. Some said that he knew things that no one else could know. This brought more attention to him, and soon more people wanted to meet him. Even though he had plans to follow a different career path, things started to change. He once wanted to work in healthcare and help people in a traditional way. However, his growing popularity made it harder for him to ignore this new path. Eventually, he decided to focus on his readings. This decision changed his life completely. Not long after, he got the opportunity to appear on television. This was a major turning point. His show introduced him to a much larger audience, and his popularity grew quickly. People watched him interact with celebrities and everyday individuals. They saw emotional moments where people felt comfort and closure. This made his show very powerful for viewers. It was not just about entertainment. It was about feelings, memories, and connection. As his fame grew, so did his influence. He wrote books, went on tours, and built a strong presence in the media. Many people admired him and believed in what he did. However, There were also critics who continued to question his work. They argued that his readings could be explained in other ways. Despite this, Tyler continued to move forward. He stayed focused on his work and the people who supported him. His career became a mix of success, belief, doubt, and public attention. Through all of this, he remained one of the most talked about figures in his field. One thing that is often overlooked in Tyler Henry's story is the emotional weight of what he does. His work is not easy, even if it may seem that way to some people. Every reading involves deep emotions. He sits with people who are often grieving, confused, or searching for answers. These are not light conversations. They are serious and sometimes very painful. Listening to people talk about their loved ones who have passed away can be emotionally draining. It requires patience, understanding, and a strong emotional balance. Over time, this kind of work can take a toll on anyone. Tyler has spent years doing this, and it is not surprising that it has affected him. He has to carry not only his own emotions, but also the emotions of the people he meets. This is something that builds up over time. Even if he believes in what he is doing, the emotional pressure does not disappear. In fact, it can become heavier as his work grows. The more people he meets, the more stories he hears, and the more emotions he absorbs. This is something that many viewers may not fully realize. They see the final moments on screen, but they do not see everything that happened behind the scenes. They do not see how much effort it takes to stay calm and focused during these readings. They also do not see how it affects him afterward. This emotional weight is an important part of his story. It shows that his life is not just about fame and success. It is also about responsibility and emotional strength. Over time, this pressure can become very difficult to manage, especially when combined with other challenges in life. After years of building his career and helping others, Tyler Henry faced something that he did not expect. He experienced a serious health issue that shook his life. This was not something small or easy to ignore. It was a moment that forced him to stop and think about his own future. For someone who is used to helping others deal with loss and fear, facing his own health problem was a very different experience. It was personal, real, and deeply emotional. Reports of him becoming emotional and even breaking down showed a side of him that people do not often see. He is usually calm and composed, but this situation was different. It reminded everyone that he is human, just like anyone else. No matter how strong someone appears, they can still face moments of fear and uncertainty. This health issue also raised questions about his future. People began to wonder how it would affect his work and his ability to continue doing what he does. For Tyler, this was not just about physical health. It was also about emotional strength and mental well-being. Facing a health challenge can change a person's perspective on life. It can make them think about what truly matters and what they want to focus on moving forward. For someone like Tyler, whose career is built on helping others, this moment may also have brought new understanding. He may now better understand what it feels like to be the one in need of support. This experience, while difficult, could also become a turning point in his life. The future for Tyler Henry is something that many people are now watching closely. His health situation has added a new layer to his story. It is no longer just about his ability or his career. It is also about his well-being and how he chooses to move forward. Some people believe that this experience may change the way he works. He may choose to slow down, focus more on himself, or even take a different direction in life. Others believe that it could make him stronger and give him a deeper understanding of the people he helps. No matter what happens, this moment is an important part of his journey. It shows that life can change at any time, no matter who you are. It also reminds people that even those who seem to have all the answers can still face uncertainty. Tyler's story is not just about his ability. It is about growth, challenges, and change. Over the years, he has built a strong connection with his audience. People feel connected to him because of the emotional nature of his work. Now, they may feel even closer to him as he goes through this difficult time. His legacy will likely be shaped not only by what he has done in the past, but also by how he handles this moment. Whether he continues his work in the same way or chooses a new path, his story will remain a powerful example of how life can take unexpected turns. In the end, Tyler Henry's journey is a reminder that everyone, no matter how unique their life may seem, still faces the same human experiences of fear, hope, and change as Tyler Henry's fame continue to grow. so did the questions surrounding his work. Not everyone believed that his abilities were real, and this created a strong divide between supporters and critics. On one side, there were people who felt that Tyler brought comfort and healing into their lives. They believed that his readings helped them feel connected to loved ones they had lost. For these people, his work was meaningful and emotional, and they saw him as someone who offered something truly special. On the other side, there were skeptics who did not accept his claims. They argued that his readings could be explained through observation, psychology, or careful questioning. Some believed that he used common techniques that allow a person to appear as if they know more than they actually do. This debate is not new, especially when it comes to mediums and people who claim to have special abilities. However, because Tyler became so well known, the discussion around him became much louder. His appearances on television and his interactions with celebrities made him an even bigger target for criticism. Critics would analyze his readings closely, looking for any sign that his information could have been guessed or influenced by the person he was speaking with. At the same time, his supporters would defend him strongly, pointing to the emotional reactions of the people he helped. This back and forth created a constant conversation around his name. It was not just about whether he was real or not. It was also about belief, faith, and how people deal with loss. For many viewers, the question was not whether every detail was accurate, but whether the experience felt real and meaningful. This made Tyler's work more than just a performance. It became part of a larger discussion about what people are willing to believe and why. Despite all the criticism, Tyler continued to move forward. He did not let the doubt stop him from doing his work. Instead, he seemed to accept that controversy would always be part of his life. This ability to continue despite criticism is one of the reasons he remained successful for so long. He understood that not everyone would agree with him, and he chose to focus on those who believed in him. This balance between support and doubt became a defining part of his public image and shaped the way people saw him over the years. Fame can bring many opportunities, but also comes with challenges that are not always visible. For Tyler Henry, becoming famous at a young age meant that he had to grow up in the public eye. This is not an easy experience for anyone. Every action, every word, and every appearance can be judged by millions of people. For someone whose work is already surrounded by debate, this pressure becomes even greater. Tyler was not just a public figure. He was someone whose credibility was constantly being questioned. This meant that he had to be very careful about how he presented himself. One mistake or one unclear moment could lead to criticism and doubt. Over time, this kind of pressure can become very heavy. It can affect a person's confidence, mental health, and overall well-being. Even though Tyler often appeared calm and composed on screen, it is important to remember that this is only one side of the story. Behind the scenes, he was likely dealing with stress and responsibility that most people never experience. In addition to public attention, he also had to manage the expectations of the people who came to him for readings. These were not simple interactions. People came to him with deep emotions and personal stories. They were looking for comfort, answers, and sometimes closure. This created a situation where Tyler had to carry a lot of emotional weight while also maintaining a public image. Balancing these two things is not easy. It requires strength, patience, and a strong sense of self. Over time, the pressure of fame can lead to exhaustion. It can make a person feel like they're always being watched and judged. For Tyler, this pressure became part of his daily life. He had to learn how to manage it while continuing to do his work. This experience likely shaped the way he sees the world and the way he interacts with others. It also adds another layer to his story, showing that his life is not just about success, but also about the challenges that come with it. When news of Tyler Henry's health issues began to spread, it changed the way many people saw him. Until that point, he was often viewed as someone who had answers and control over uncertain situations. His role was to help others deal with fear, loss, and confusion. However, his health struggles showed a different side of him. It reminded people that he is not just a public figure or a performer. He is a human being who can face the same challenges as anyone else. This shift in perception was important. It made him more relatable to many people. Instead of seeing him only as a medium, people began to see him as someone who is also vulnerable. This vulnerability created a deeper emotional connection between him and his audience. People who may have once doubted him started to feel sympathy for what he was going through. At the same time, his supporters became even more protective of him. They saw his health struggles as a reason to support him more strongly. This change also affected the way his work was viewed. Some people began to question whether his health would impact his ability to continue giving readings. Others wondered if this experience would change the way he approached his work. Health challenges can often lead to personal growth and new perspectives. For Tyler, this may have been a moment where he had to rethink his priorities and his future. It may have also given him a deeper understanding of the emotions that his clients experience. Facing a serious health issue can change the way a person sees life. It can make them appreciate things differently and focus on what truly matters. For Tyler, this experience could become an important part of his journey. It could shape the next phase of his life and career, whether it leads to changes in his work or simply strengthens his connection with his audience. It is clear that this moment has had a lasting impact on how people see him. One of the most talked about parts of this story is the moment when Tyler Henry became emotional and broke down. This moment stood out because it was so different from how he is usually seen. On television and in public appearances, he is often calm, controlled, and focused. He is the one guiding others through emotional situations. Seeing him become overwhelmed was unexpected